What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to my player ratings, a new segment that we've added here on Anfield Agenda for the season. And again, this has been brought to you with thanks to our matchday sponsors, the One Football app. You know the drill by now. You can download the One Football app entirely free with the link in the description of the stream. One Football has you set for everything throughout the season. League tables, statistics, augmented reality, player profiles, video content, everything available entirely free. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do my player profile or my player ratings, and then I'm going to go into the live chat for a minute because I'm very aware that it was Steve Bland and Jack that got most of the talking today, and I didn't really get a chance to dip into the chat. So let's start with the player ratings. And look, Alisson Becker, I've got to be honest about it, folks. I think he could have done better and should have done better for Chelsea's goal. That said, he hadn't really got too much to do today. He did make a save that took a little bit of a nick, but it wasn't his greatest game. I'm going to give Alisson a 6. Moving on to Trent Alexander-Arnold, I thought he was good. I thought he was certainly better than his counterpart on the other side. Wasn't his greatest performance. Some of his crosses could have been a lot better. Our set pieces or corners weren't great today at all. But I think he got up and down the flank willingly, and I don't think he was exploited as much as Chelsea would have been hoping to exploit Trent. I did say before the game that I thought the full-back battle was going to be a key position in this game. So I'm going to give Trent a 6.5. I don't think he deserves a 7, but I don't think he's worthy of a 6 either. So I think a 6.5 for Trent. Moving on now to the centre-back pairings today, and I thought both of the guys did really, really well. The talk before the game was about this man versus Romelu Lukaku. I think it's fair to say we can only really take it from the first half because that's when Chelsea had their full complement of players, when they were much more on the front foot with regards to attacking. I think Liverpool controlled the game well, but I think Virgil van Dijk played very well today. Got to give him a solid 7. If there was ever any doubts about him being back, being back to his brilliant best, I think we can put them to bed. There was a lot of people concerned how well or quickly he would recover from that ACL, and it looks like he is back to his brilliant best. So I'm going to give him a 7. And for his partner alongside him, Joel Matip, who had an excellent piece of defending in the second half to block a Romelu Lukaku strike that was probably headed goalwards, I thought he did very well as well. Went forward when he needed to, was pretty dominant aerially, and again, the two of them I thought played very, very well. Solid 7 for me for Joel Matip. I think Matip, I actually was not arguing with Connor, but we were debating about which of the centre-backs was better today, because I thought that they both did what was needed of them, which, the goal wasn't anything to do with either of the centre-backs, to be honest with you. It was more about bad goalkeeping and nobody picking up. Probably Robbo's man, if you look at it from a very cold, calculated perspective. So I think Joel Matip probably deserving of a 7 as well. This man, Andy Robertson, now, there was a lot of talk before the game. Should he start? Shouldn't he start? Would he be up for it? Is it fair to drop Costas Tsimikas? And I have to say, I was in the camp that wanted Robbo to start the game, and I'm not arrogant enough to not sit here and put my hands up and say I think it was the wrong call. As the game went on, you could see that he wasn't there. He wasn't his brilliant best. His crossing wasn't great at all, particularly from corners. His passing seemed a little bit off. His timing, his rhythm seemed a little bit off. And I think it was no surprise that we seen the gaffer turn to Costas Tsimikas as Robbo's legs looked a bit weary. And, I'm not afraid to put my hands up when I get a call wrong either. And I think the decision to start Robertson, in hindsight, which is of course an easy thing, was probably the wrong one. But I made the same decision as the gaffer in my predicted 11 beforehand. So I'm going to give Robbo a 6, which I think is on the generous side, if I'm being honest with you, because I didn't think he had the best against. But we know Robbo will come again. And look, as annoying as it is to sit here and talk about Robbo not having a great game, it is good to know that we do at least have a viable alternative in Costas Tsimikas to come in and take over if needs to. So look, Robbo wasn't his best game today, but we move on, and we'll move on to this man, Fabinho. Again, he does everything you want him to do in the centre of the park. We know in that midfield of N'Golo Kante and Jorginho what Chelsea have there. They've got 2 award-winning midfielders now, Champions League winning midfielders, and I thought Fabinho dealt with everything that was thrown at him really well. It's hard to judge this because, of course, the second half was a completely different game to the first half, because the first half, I actually thought we probably looked more likely in the first half than we did in the second. So Fabinho, I'm going to give him a solid 7 because I don't think he did anything wrong, but I don't think he did anything extraordinary either. But then again, could he? Could he? Should he have been sacrificed? Should we have gone a little bit more on the front foot to try and go win the game? Should maybe we have brought on somebody to move Hendo into a 6 to push them further forward? I don't know, but that's got nothing to do with his player rating. So, as I said, I'm going to stick with a 7 for him. Move on to this man, Jordan Henderson. I echo what Steve and Jack kind of both said and what I said during the commentary of the game. He didn't look or feel right on the left-hand side of that midfield, did he? You know, Harvey Elliott was given the role on the right-hand side, and I think that he did very well there. But we did miss the link-up play between, let's say, Naby Keita and Sadio Mane on the left. And when Mane wasn't having his greatest of games anyway, which he didn't, we needed somebody down that left hand side to really step up. And today I just think the left side just looked out of kilter completely because of Robertson. Sadio Mane going to ground a bit easily and looking a little bit weak at times and a little bit lacking of invention. I thought Henderson got caught up in all of that today, as well, of course, as it being not the place that he's usually more drifts towards that right hand side. So Hendo, again, he'll come again, but for me, I'm going to give him a 6 today in my player ratings. Moving on to this young man, Harvey Elliott. What a big game it was for him today, given the nod to start at Anfield in front of a packed house against the current European Cup holders. And I think he did well. I don't want to go over the top of my praises of him. He didn't set the world alight, but he didn't do anything wrong. I was very pleased for Harvey Elliott. He looked bright. He did look overawed by the occasion. Some things came off, some things didn't come off, but it is a game of trial and error with a youngster like Harvey, and he will probably get a spell in the team and then a spell back out of the team and then slowly be reintroduced. Today, what will I give him? Difficult one, this. I'm going to give him a 6.5. I'm going to put him at the same score as Trent because he looked lively but never really delivered anything spectacular. I mean, he did have a shot that he pulled wide early doors, but there was a couple of occasions in the second half where I would have liked him to have taken the onus on himself and maybe tried to shift it onto his left foot and get a strike away. Of course, there was that opportunity in the first half that fell to his wrong foot and he couldn't keep his shot down. But he always seemed to be looking for the more senior Mohamed Salah on the right side, where I thought there was occasion where he probably could have been a bit more selfish and got a strike away. But nonetheless, a very encouraging performance from young Harvey Elliott. Now, this man, Sadio Mane, I'm starting to get a little bit worried. I won't lie, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Sadio. By his own admittance, he didn't have his best season last season. Now, he got off the score sheet, which was great, got a lovely goal last week. But today, again, he looked a little bit lightweight. He looked a little bit lacking of invention, lacking of a real directness. He didn't really ever have a go. We always wanted to ticky-tacky or tippy-tap his way round. I just didn't feel it today from him. And it's one of those rare days where I'm left really frustrated with Sadio Mane because I'm often defending the guy. I'm often somebody who comes on here and says that he's been harshly treated by some fans. But today, I didn't think he was great at all, if I'm being honest with you. And I feel like I'm being generous here to give Sadio Mane a 6 because I think his rating could have been a little less than that, if I'm being honest with you. In fact, a lot of you might have thought he deserved a little bit less than that. But anyway, I'm trying to be kind today because we didn't lose the game. We did draw, as frustrating as that is. Now, Mohamed Salah. This will divide some opinion, actually, because I've seen some people say that Salah wasn't at it today. But he took away the penalty rather nicely under tremendous pressure, which is what he's paid to do, make no bones about it. But they did try and delay it. They did, play mind games with him, but he kept composed and put it away. That being said, there was an opportunity that fell to him on his right foot that, let's be honest, it was a tiddler, as I like to call it. Barely had the grass moving. And there were opportunities when I think we could have got shots away. And at times when we seemed to look for Salah when he wasn't available and we had an overlap down the left-hand side. That being said, though, you're always going to get good play from Mo. You're always going to get good strength shown. And I think his performance and his goal deserves a 7. My man of the match for today's game, I think it would be either one of the centre-halves. If you want to go Van Dijk, if you want to go Matip, I think that's up to you. For me, I think either of them would be Liverpool's man of the match, but I do agree that the man of the match should probably be one of the Chelsea defenders because I thought second half they dug their heels in. They showed why they are so good in Europe. They showed why they won the European Cup, and I thought that they dug in and they made it very difficult for us to create. Sat back and said, what have you got? And quite simply, we hadn't got the answer to unpick that lock. So we go into the international break on the back of somewhat frustration, I suppose, ladies and gentlemen, but at the end of the day, 7 points out of 9, one difficult fixture gone. I suppose it's how you look at it, really, isn't it? These things are often about context, and I'm trying to stay on the positive side. Then we move on to this gentleman, Roberto Firmino. hard to give Bobby a score because he went off obviously first half. I didn't know at the time what the story was, but apparently off camera it was picked up that he did signal to the bench to come off, and it looked like an issue, I think, with his left leg, if my memory is right. Now, of course, all eyes will be peeled to see what the prognosis is there with Bobby. We hope it's just something minor, and we are in an international break now, so maybe that'll work in our favour for once. But I think he looked alright today. Again, it was very hard to judge when we only got 40 odd minutes out of him, so I give him a solid 6.5 because I don't really know where else to go with it, to be honest with you. Next one up, Diogo Jota. A lot of people, myself included, believe that Diogo probably should have started this game. I think it was the wrong decision to start Firmino, and I said it all week, I will play Diogo Jota. I think Bobby would have been more impactful coming from the bench. When Jota did come off the bench, we had a couple of half-glanced headers and a few semi-opportunities, but it was much of a muchness, wasn't it? It was the same old. We didn't really create enough in the second half. It was... I felt it was far too easy for Chelsea to sit back and defend. And yes, Mendy made some good saves, and yes, there was some good clearances. But what do we expect of a team of that calibre, of a team full of good, solid international players like that? They weren't going to just shrink and fade away when they went down to 10 men. They dug their heels in. Thomas Tuchel made the changes, and we just quite frankly couldn't break them down. So for me, Diogo Jota, I'll give him a 6.5 or a 6. Let's go 6 actually, because I don't think he even did enough to justify a 6.5. So for me, a 6 for Diogo Jota. And again, I find it very hard to give Thiago a rating when he was only brought on for the last 15 or so. He did what Thiago does. He looks to move the ball quickly, but was he given enough time to impact the game? I would argue no. I would argue that we probably should have looked to have made this change not a little bit, 15 minutes sooner. I would have liked to have brought Henderson off, or put Henderson in the 6, brought Fabinho off, and put Thiago on the front foot. Give Henderson a bit more licence to go forward as well. I thought we were a little bit overly cautious maybe before the gaffer finally looked to change it up. 75 minutes to push yourself to try and get a winner at home. I mean, it depends how brave you want to be, because it's all very well and good me sitting here saying, push on lads, bomb on, but what if we were caught on the counter? Klopp had to keep that in mind as well. So Thiago, I don't know, a 6. I feel like player ratings sometimes are just semi-pointless, and this was, how do I give a rating to a player who had 15 minutes and did very little to impact the game when he came on? So all I can really do is say I'll give him a 6 and go from there, and that pretty much brings to an end our player ratings for today, folks. I want to go over to the chat for a couple of minutes and just see how you guys are feeling. Jota should have started, said Cyril. Jota would have won us the match if he started, said Mohamed as well. Jota kind of disappeared, said Jevon. Again, Robbo was awful. And look, I admit, he hadn't got his greatest game today. I'd be the first one to put my hands up and say Robbo. I was expecting a far better Andy Robertson than we've seen. But then again, hindsight is easy to have 20/20 vision in hindsight, isn't it? It just wasn't as there today. And it just feels like an opportunity sort of slipped away. But at the same time, I think when we look back at this result at the end of the season, it mightn't be the worst of it. I don't want to overreact this early in the season. I want to give the lads the benefit of the doubt, come back after the international break and keep trying to stay on the front foot and pick up points, because Chelsea will be there or thereabouts this season. They're a very good side, and you can see why they won the European Cup, let's be fair about it. That's pretty much wraps up our content for the day, ladies and gentlemen, here on Anfield Agenda. Thank you to all of you guys who've hit the subscribe button, dropped the like on the video, watched what we've had to put out. Again, massive thank you to our sponsors, the OneFootball app. There is of course a link in the description that you can download the OneFootball app ahead of the weekend, the rest of the games. I'll be back, I believe, on That's Football tomorrow for the Spurs game at around 2 o'clock, and then I'll be back here tomorrow with a late night agenda. Until then, enjoy your Saturday night. I'm staying off Twitter anyway because it's a bit OTT on there for me. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you for checking out our content again. Lots of love to you all. Take care. And